Hey, everybody. Welcome to another glorious, yes, that's right, glorious episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. My name is Jeff May, and I have cool friends. You heard the title. I am very excited to be joined with one of my very good friends. She is among everything. She's a multi-hyphenate, an author, a comedian, a producer of comedy shows as well, a member of the WGA, and an all-around fantastic softball player, Emily Winter. Emily, hi.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely intro. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm great. I am good. The last time I saw you, you expertly caught a line drive and just ended my softball day yesterday.
It was the last out of the game. It was fourth out, but I mean, your team had 4 outs, so
So did yours.
no, did we?
Yeah, you guys stolen out.
Oh
Which is
no,
fine.
Jono walked off third base. Anyway, I'm sure they really care.
Yeah, no. Former guest of the show, John Ozali, by the way.
Oh yeah, I did
believe.
not know that. Amazing. His run didn't count.
Yeah, who knows? So you've done a lot of very interesting things. I actually knew of you before I ever knew you, which I think is really interesting because I knew someone that was reading your book.
I actually think I knew you first because I think you came to New York and maybe you did my show. Side Ponytail. Do you remember that?
I have not performed in New York often. I did.
Yeah, I know. I
did
was like, who's this guy?
one show. Was it in October of 2019?
Could have been. We had a weekly for a long time.
Where was it?
It was at several different places, but it was at, oh my gosh, the bars are Friends and Lovers in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. And then before that, it was at one a bar that I've now forgotten the name of that I used to love in Williamsburg, but like the air conditioner fell on somebody's foot and that somebody had a rich lawyer father and sued the bar, and so they had to close.
I'm not, this is weird. It's such an uncomfortable thing because I've performed in New York maybe 2 or 3 times max. One was on, we Unpopular Opinion closed out the New York Comedy Festival, which was weird that they had us and Harmontown. We were the 2 shows that closed the New York Comedy Festival in like I don't even remember what year that was. 2015, 2016, 2014, no one knows. And then I did one at the Creek in the Cave during Comic-Con of 2019 because I had a panel, but like I don't recall. So it might have been a different guy that looks like me.
Okay, here's another potential thing. It could have been because, like we always say in New York, the best place to get booked in New York is Boston. So I would drive to Boston so often and just pack a ton of shows. So it could have been Boston.
If you came to Boston in 2012 during the summer, we met. If at all.
I was doing comedy then. So
because that's when I had retired. Like I retired that year. So that summer I was just getting teacher paychecks to do stand-up comedy.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was kind of great. I mean, obviously with a finish coming up August 30th of my last paycheck. But yeah, so, and then as soon as that last check came in, I started driving across the country.
Oh, that's wonderful. So maybe it was then, I don't know, or maybe
it could have been
some guy out there who looks just like you. But
there are some. Yeah. I get tagged in a lot of very strange a lot of strange things where people are like, Jeff May, and I'm like, that doesn't look like me, does it? And then I have to be like, wait, what do I look like? That happens. There was one where somebody sent me a picture of this one guy who was like the nerdiest looking dude and was like, found your twin. And I was like,
God.
Oh, really? Oh no.
So you have common face. I also have common face.
What do people tell you what celebrity you look like all the time?
No, I used to get that when I was younger, but not anymore. I used to get Kirsten Dunst a lot, and I liked it.
I could see that.
Thank you. How about you?
It depends on how. I have 2 very different celebrities I get told that I look like, and it depends on how I'm looking that day. If I'm having a very good day, it's Bradley Cooper. Which is a very nice compliment that I don't see, but I've heard it enough that I'm like, okay.
You're like if Bradley Cooper got stretched out, though.
Yeah, he's a little bit shorter than me by several inches, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The other one I get, and that's how I know that like I need to go to bed, is Ralph Fiennes. People will tell me
I love that you are. That's so funny.
They're so different.
Have you ever done like one of those apps where they have a baby and then
Yeah,
you
Ray
like,
Fiennes and Bradley Cooper, and it's just like
yeah.
my
And
senior
is
picture.
it
Yeah.
just yeah, exactly. I want to see that.
Yeah. But it's and I can usually tell which one it's going to be by how I'm feeling. Because
Mhm.
people will be like, you know who you look like? And if I'm feeling very energetic, I'm like, I'm about to have a good afternoon.
Yeah.
And then if I feel tired, I'm like, oh God, not the Schindler's List guy. Not this. And I get it. Like it happens.
You know, I feel like Ray Fiennes is one of those guys that if you see him in real life, you'd be like, oh, that's a good looking guy. But then, you know, when he's on TV, you're like, oh, I don't want to look like that. But actually, he's probably attractive.
You know what I like about Ray Fiennes, and I think what really sort of makes it there is he has sharp features, and I
Mhm.
think I haven't like a very angular nose. I
Yes.
have what some would say as a large honkin' schnoz,
Yeah.
and that, which thanks, mom. My mom gave me this nose, and then she got hers fixed.
Ah,
Like what a prank!
that's so funny.
She had gotten into an accident, and so she got wet surgery, and while she was there, the doctor's like, "Hey, you want me to?"
Shave it down a little bit as long as we're in
And my mom's
here.
like, "Oh hell yeah, a reason for plastic surgery? Thank you very much."
That was always my dream. And so when I was a
What?
fast pitch pitcher, I got hit really hard in my knee and I have a scar on my knee. But I always like, and then I got kind of freaked out about pitching. I'm talking about softball right now. I don't know if I
Yeah,
said that, but
well, we
anyway,
didn't think you were fast pitch bowling, so yeah.
yeah. So I would just tell myself, like, it was my mantra when I was a teenager to just be like, all right, if you get hit in the face, you could pick out any kind of face you want and you could look like Jessica Alba or whatever. And I was just like, so I would like pump myself up, like, yeah, you get Jessica Alba's face and then
Yeah.
go out there and like, you know, be
Couple
good
months of pain
at
for a Jessica Alba
Alba's
face.
face. That really puts a timestamp on it, I think.
Yeah, yeah, you're like that was a very 2002 sentence to say out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I get that. But you wrote this book called One Day Smarter, which is a trivia book, but and sort of like the tagline that we see here is hilarious random information to uplift and inspire, meaning that it is in a way like a threaded trivia book. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it over the lockdown part of the pandemic, and I was very depressed, and I think a lot of people were very depressed. And so I really wanted to, in my research, not only find things that were true, which is infinitely difficult considering the internet, but also things that are happy.
Yep.
And so, or that won't make you, you know, just like feel worse about the world when the world is already in shambles. So that was the sort of goal of that. And it came out of, I mean, honestly, just, you know, comedy and writing, it's all like work and luck together. And I had been before that writing both trivia games and jokes for Ask Me Another, which was an NPR show hosted by Ophira Eisenberg. So that show ended and I got this book. And yeah, it was wonderful. It fit perfectly into what I was kind of doing and thinking about at the time.
When was that published?
2021, October 2021.
Okay.
So, as the publisher likes to say, they say at Tarcher Perigee, which is a Penguin Random House, basically a little imprint, it's good for 5 years. So go get the book. It's still all that stuff, still true.
Yeah, it's funny too because October of 2021, that is when I went to record the game show.
Ah,
And the book was offered to me as like, oh, you're doing trivia, you should take this. And I looked at it and I was like, this is wonderful. I don't have time for everything that isn't trivia right now. So I had to put it on the back burner because I had went and got some of those like Uncle John's bathroom readers. And those were the ones that I needed to read because they were like, there's no fluff here. Like there's nothing designed to inspire.
No fluff in mine. There's just
No,
little intros in the, yeah.
It's wonderful, inspirational, great, good feeling. It's not, when I say fluff, I'm not saying it a negative thing. I'm from Massachusetts.
No.
Marshmallow fluff is the best thing that we have. But what it came down to is I was like, I needed like this weird form of efficiency. And I was like, I don't need to feel good. I need to win money and then I'll feel good. And I swear to God, those bathroom readers, those ones that are like, so I read through 3 of them over a weekend.
Oh my gosh, how did you even do that? I don't even remember all the facts in my book that I like have read and researched a million times.
Yeah, but if somebody asked you a trivia question pulled from your book, you'd know the answer.
Probably, but I'm not sure I would.
Yeah, if you were like, woodpeckers have craniums that are thicker than their brains or something like that, right? And then if somebody's like, I heard the weirdest thing about woodpeckers, you'd be like, is it that their craniums are thicker than their brains or whatever? Because you have that info.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
using it way less. Like I was very annoying right after the book came out. I feel like bars were opening back up and we were going out, and I was like, "Oh, you mean the width of a piece of paper?" That I was just going crazy with everything and just being such a nerd. And I think I annoyed the shit out of people. And then the information is not at top of mind at all times. A few months later, and I'm a better human.
But there is call and release. Like you might not pluck stuff out of the air, but if stuff is brought up to you, I would guarantee that you would know that stuff. And so
it's weird. I'm smart but dumb, Jeff. I'm smart but dumb. But
you know what? But call and release isn't a sign of intellect either. So like I'm super dumb, but I know all this trivia stuff. But so I basically just read all this stuff and just read it and read it. And then when the show went on, I think I pulled 2 answers that specifically, not even from like what I knew going in, but what I had read that weekend.
Oh my God.
So I was like, reading those 3 books made me, we'll say $125,000 or something. So in that regard, that's how I did it. I read.
Did you buy something? You probably have talked about this, but did you buy something really amazing for yourself?
I needed a car.
Great.
I needed a car. Like my car dumped fluid 3 days after I got my check. It just dumped everything. So I bought a 2022 Toyota Prius Prime.
Nice.
For $44,000 cash.
Ooh.
I know. But
I just got a car for $4,000.
You know what? I don't have much of luxury. And that was also something I desperately needed. And I was like, these cars last a while. It's a plug-in hybrid. And I named it Howie Cardell because Howie Mandel is the guy that got me the car. So Howie Cardell.
Did you tell Howie that you named your car that?
I tweeted at him, I think.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, he was probably like, whatever. One of the things that got cut, because my playthrough actually got cut, but one of the things that got cut was him saying, we're definitely going to share a stage someday. So I really thought it would be funny if after they cut, he was just like, cut that out.
So yeah, I have lost faith in this.
Yeah, I don't actually want to perform with this guy. But yeah, so that was really, really fun. And then when I got back, I was like, I don't have the energy for trivia right now, but I do have your book at my place.
One day, man. One day.
I'm going to read it. I actually am really, because I couldn't stop hearing about it.
Oh, that's good.
And was told, you'd really like my friend Emily. She wrote a book on trivia and you like trivia. And that was what was said to me. And I was like, I bet I would. And then we met not terribly far after that playing softball.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. So you wrote this book over the pandemic, and it seems to me like you got it done pretty quick as far as start to finish, right? Because if you're publishing this in October of 2021, this is a less than 2-year process from start to finish of getting a published book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think from the time that I got the deal, it was like 9 months, and that 9 months till I finished it. I think maybe less. Maybe it was like 5 or 6. I can't remember. Whatever it was, I think maybe it was 6 months they gave me to write it, but I added 1 month because when I started the book, I was talking to my editor and she was like, we don't need to source everything. Just make sure that you know where it's from, that everything's correct. But then when I started drilling down and like researching, I was like, there's so many false quote unquote facts on the internet. And so we decided to put a citation for every single thing. So I had to go start again and make sure that I had everything cited properly and I hate wasting paper in a book to put citations, but there's just so much false information out there. So it just felt really, really important to us to have reputable sources for everything.
So how many pages did add that to the book?
Oh gosh, I don't even know offhand, and I don't have a copy up here.
That's
I can go grab one, but it's a chunk. And then I also wrote games in the back, like trivia games, and since I love to do that anyway.
That's so fun.
And I do that. I still write trivia. The host of Ask Me Another now has a parenting podcast. And I think I'm the only one involved without kids, but I write games about parenting. And I love writing games. It's fun.
I like to think of myself as a kindred spirit with you because I was a mommy blogger.
You were a mommy. I did not know this. That is hilarious.
I was a mommy blogger for Modern Mom, which
How
was
did you
the
get
biggest mommy blog for a while. That was like Brooke Burke.
Oh, I know Brooke Burke.
Yeah, I wrote for her website. I was
Whoa.
a movie reviewer.
Oh,
So I was
fun.
like, cool Uncle Jeff. You know,
I feel like you could have gotten a niche of like horny moms in their 40s to be like, and then Jeff, we love Jeff. We love Jeff. You know?
that I mean, I was a soccer coach when I taught middle school, so that's not new information. Like that,
yeah.
I went
This
through
is
that.
your wheelhouse.
Yeah, like God love a MILF, you know,
Yeah.
like really my bread and butter, just the best stuff. I got to go into Ray Fiennes mode in that case. They like a more sophisticated.
Do you think that a lot of your listeners are, and I don't mean this in any negative way, listeners, if this is you, horny moms in their 40s? Because it's a good demo. If I could pick like one demo to appreciate the work that I do, that would be one of my top choices for sure.
My answer to that question is, boy, I sure do hope so. No, but yeah, no, that was really fun. The way it worked is I had a friend who was an editor there, and she's like, you know, we're looking for this, and because you were a teacher, like it would be really good to have it as like you'd be like dad's cool friend that like is like, hey, the kids will like this movie, you should take them to see it or something. So that was the persona that I went through. But really, it was mostly just an avenue for me to meet the Muppets. Because like
when you met the Muppets.
I really only reviewed 3 movies, and then my editor went to Disney, and she's just like, I can't get you in Disney. Your internet presence is undisneyable. But I actually reviewed 3 good movies, which I thought was really fun. I did Peabody and Sherman, and that was a DreamWorks movie.
Okay.
And it was really good. And also the experience that we went to, like, I got to meet Jeffrey Katzenberg. And I was like,
where did you go to? So you went to a screening and like a Q&A or something?
At DreamWorks, yeah.
Amazing.
And he happened to show up. So there's a photo of me, a bunch of moms, and Jeffrey Katzenberg.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
So I did that one. I did Muppets Most Wanted, was the sequel to the Muppets, and I got to interview the evil Kermit.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Do you have a tape of that?
I wonder if my old voice record, that was like several phones ago, so I don't know if that is kept by. The interview still does exist. If you look up Modern Mom Muppets Most Wanted, you'll be able to, if you Google it, you'll find it. And then the other one was Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I was like, man, if I could just see these movies for free all the time. Or
yeah, this is a good job.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. The
website must still exist if you can find these on the internet. So
Modern Mom, I mean, I'm going to guess that's the case.
Like so much of my blog work, because I was in New York in my 20s in the heyday of blogging, and I was part of, did my piece of that incredible work. But I can't find, all my stuff is gone. Not all of it, but most of it's gone.
Like the internet kind of disappears a lot of stuff. So
yeah, because these blogs don't exist anymore, and blogging as a job doesn't exist anymore. And now I have a different job that also doesn't exist anymore.
Let's see what happens if we Google Jeff May Modern Mom. Jeff May, author at Modern Mom. Okay. About Jeff May. He's a retired teacher turned comedian. You can find him weekly on the Unpopular Opinion podcast. Man, they should update that. But yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 articles on there.
That's great.
And then I was like, yeah, okay. And she's like, I don't know if they're going to want to keep you on Modern Mom without me fighting for you. I'm like, that's fine.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to fight to be like, I'm a straight white man. I demand to be in this space.
Blogs like freelance blogging did not pay well. What did you get? Like $40 a thing or a pop or something? That's yeah.
What I will say is that I really enjoyed the perks.
Yeah.
Like, I got to hang out with a Muppet. I got to meet and talk to a Muppet for real. And it's insane if you've never met a Muppet. Because they fool you. Like, the Muppet is seated you walk into this room and the Muppeteer, is that the word? Is like sitting at a table and the Muppet is like asleep next to him. And the person introduces himself to you. Hey, I'm Matt. It's nice to meet you, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And then he'll like in the middle of talking to you, he'll wake up the Muppet and it'll start talking to you. And it's like this weird mental trick that gets you to like dart over and be like, oh my God, you're also here. You're talking.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and then like sometimes you wake up from the Matrix and you look at the Muppeteer and you're like, this is weird, right? But yeah, they go,
But it felt so real when you were doing it.
it feels so real.
That's beautiful.
You're just having a conversation with a fist and then you're gonna publish it. It's insane. You a Muppet fan?
No, not at all. And I feel really bad. I just went to a wedding at the Museum of the Moving Image, and they had all these Muppets.
Yeah, big Muppet thing coming in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome, and everyone was so pumped. And they're like, "What was your favorite Muppet?" Blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't a Muppet kid at all. I watched one movie every day as a child, and it was a live action movie, and it was 1776 the musical. So
that's the one thing you watched
every day. I just
day.
went to go see the new version of it here in LA, where it's an all woman and non-binary cast, and I was just sobbing for the first 15 minutes. So
what an insane fandom to have.
I know, but I have no Muppet background, and I feel really like I really missed a piece. I missed a piece.
Don't worry about that.
Our generation. Yeah.
Don't carry, because people like, I understand that too, where like I hate the movie The Goonies.
Yeah, I don't like the movie The Goonies either.
And
you would think you committed a crime.
People look at me like I'm insane. And I'm like, I also feel like I'm probably wrong. I just hate this movie.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's not fun. It's just bad.
You're probably right. I really feel like we give so much leeway to 80s movies. I just watched, because we were talking about it. I was at on a picket line last week, and then we went to a bar because it was my birthday, and we were talking about the movie Teen Witch. So I came home and watched Teen Witch, and it's a terrible movie. It's from every which way that you look at it, no pun intended, it's a terrible movie. Yeah.
I think, like, I say this a lot with the Masters of the Universe fandom, like the He-Man fandom, because I love He-Man. I grew up on it. It's just the thing. I don't know if you could see by all the garbage behind me, but it's a lot of crap. I have a lot of He-Man and all this.
Is that Yellow Skull? Is that a He-Man bad guy?
That is a custom Skeletor bust that I bought at a He-Man convention.
Amazing.
So yeah, but there's also like right here behind me is a carded, sealed encased in plastic, carded, nearly 40-year-old toy. So
amazing. I love She-Ra.
Oh yeah, I mean She-Ra's great.
Yeah.
So I always, and like these people, they're like, oh, it's just not the same as it was. They changed He-Man. It's like, dude, it was always bad.
It's always bad.
You just, and the way I say to people, and I think people relate to this a lot, is I was like, you don't necessarily love the artwork. You really love how you felt when you watched it as a kid, when you didn't have bills or taxes. You haven't been divorced. Like, you just remember having nothing to worry about but where your bike is and what toys you were going to get for your birthday. And that's awesome.
True. So true. And then the fantasy world of it all like feels so much more accessible because you don't know what's out there yet. Like, you haven't gone and explored the world yet. So like this might be, somewhat plausible. It's cool. It's a cool feeling.
Who knows? Because I don't. And I refuse to find that feeling. So one of the things you do, because I know you said you were picketing, and I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about One Liner Madness, which is a show of yours that I just did about a week and a half ago almost. I made it to the second round, got eliminated. I think I brought a very strong joke to open, and then I was like, well, now what?
What was your opening joke?
Girl, are you a gun? Because I want to put you in my mouth every night.
Oh, yes. I love that joke. That was one of my favorites. I love that joke.
That was made for that crowd. That crowd, that doesn't go the same way it does with a regular. When I knew it was a room of comedians, I was like, this one will win.
Yes.
At least one round. And I wanted to get up one round. That's all I wanted.
Dude, you made it farther than half the comics on the show.
That's all I wanted. That's all. And then I got eliminated on the fact on the joke where I said I actually do some impressions. Like, for example, I do an impression of Austin Powers in that I also haven't been funny or relatable or up the joke. I haven't been funny or relevant in 22 years. So the fact that I screwed up my own one. And so I lost, like kind of obviously after the fact. I picked the wrong joke. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of the jokes that I didn't get to say, and I need you to tell me honestly.
I'll tell you.
I want honesty out of this one.
I've thrown this show 16 times now, so yeah. I feel like I know what does well.
Yes, so you could tell me. Okay. I feel like men that get into guns do so only so they can finally feel like 9mm is impressive. That probably wouldn't go very far.
I feel like
no. Okay. Starting to think
one thing. Sorry. First of all, can I just say what the show is? I think we should probably say it.
Yeah, One-Liner Madness. Yes.
Oh, it's go ahead. 64 comedians doing setup punchline jokes in a March Madness style single elimination joke tournament. Anyway, I take it around the country.
The show is about 2 hours and change. It's actually a very quick show.
Yeah, I mean, I put an intermission in there, but usually it's 95 minutes without the intermission. We put like 15 in there. Yeah. So it's really fast. It sounds like it's going to take 3 days, but it's fast. I try to talk. Which I travel with it. Yeah. And I try to like move it along. Like I talk really fast during the show to get people to like not around. Anyway, can I swear? Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because spoiler alert, we actually, when we released the show for free, we cut them out, but then we take all the swears that we cut out and we put them into one mega swear cut.
Oh my God. I love that. That is so funny. I love that. So anyway, what I was going to say about your second gun joke is that I feel like in 2023, especially with the audiences that I tend to get, if you do a gun joke, it's got to be, the topic has to be even like, it's got to compete with guns. So like when you're talking about suicide and depression, that kind of competes with guns. Like that almost tops guns in a way. But then if you're like talking about dick size, it like somehow doesn't, like the dick stuff doesn't, like guns are just such a hot button issue that I feel like, yeah. Anyway.
Because I've been wondering, I was like, how would these do?
I would say that one, especially for we threw this in the backyard of a socialist commune. I just don't think it would have gone over that well.
Good. I also feel like maybe you have to understand the 9mm reference too, which is what it is. But that being said, I didn't choose that joke specifically. Yeah. Here's one that I think I probably could have moved forward with, but maybe not. I don't know. Starting to think my cat is a Joe Rogan fan, as he sure does have a lot of opinions for someone who can't read.
I like that very much. And I think that's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that one would have done well.
Yeah.
This one I don't think would have done well, but I just want someone to love me as much as 90s commercials loved calling me gay.
But what?
Do you remember commercials from back then? They were always like, drink Mountain Dew or kiss a dude. And you were like, what?
Oh, yeah, sort of. But also, I feel like your own look is like detrimental to your joke because you look so like masculine, and then you're like, oh wait, what? We'll do it. You know,
fair enough. Okay,
it might be confusing.
Yeah, that's actually, I would say that like people, when you talk about like, I know how I look when, you know, because we're supposed to, and then people like, no, and I'm like, no, I look like a cop. Like, yeah, I know what I look like. That I'm not saying I am a cop. As a matter of fact, I don't like them, but.
So, Jeff, you just did my other show, but I don't know if you got the email for that show because I sent out an email blast to like people that buy tickets here in LA. And on the email blast, I was like, I like wrote a little list. Here's why you specifically will love all of these comedians. And for you, I was like, and Jeff May, you look at him and you're like, oh boy, I'm going to hate this guy. And then you're like, oh my God, he's so funny. And we actually agree on everything.
I have a very hateable face. And people like when people know me, they're like, no, you're not hateable. I'm like, that is not what I said. I have resting cop face. There's nothing I can't do anything about it. I've tried. And it's not even like it's a fitness thing because I looked like this even when I was bigger. I still looked like kind of a prick. I don't know. I don't get it. I was supposed to be jollier looking.
Face would have crushed in that socialist commune's backyard.
What, the resting cop face thing? Yeah, I didn't really think of that. The last one that I was going to do was a bit of a cheat because I would have taken it from my act, but I was like, we all know an Irish goodbye is leaving a party without telling anybody, but most people don't know that a Boston Irish goodbye is just getting arrested at a party.
That's great. And also you can take stuff from your act
Oh,
and
I know
play
people
it.
did.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the comedians I knew, I'm like, oh, that's like your whole act there just broken up into like 5 rounds. It's great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
smart.
It's hard because sometimes it really doesn't work because people need so much context for a punchline to work, and they think that they can get away with not having all that context. And so anyway, it's fascinating. But
It was a
yeah, I
it was a great
it's
exercise.
a
It
good
was a
writing exercise. Yeah, to do some setup punchlines.
And I was there. Valerie Tossi and I worked on getting our set lists there. And then when she went up, she asked other people what joke to go up with, and she got eliminated in the first round, which I don't know if you have a healthy form of competition with your husband, but like, even though I was like, I felt bad because I was like, oh, I didn't make, I was like, wow, at least I made it further than her though. Like,
Yeah.
is that,
Yes.
am I, does that make me a bad person? I
No,
think so.
no, absolutely not.
Um,
Absolutely not. If it
but
had the same thing, had I been you in that situation and Chris was Val, or Valerie, I would have been like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but at least you still have a horse in the race. Oh, it's me." It's
what,
gotta go
what
for it.
she showed me, like, I was like, when she said the joke that she used when she got off, I was trying not to be mean, but I was like, why did you start with that one?
Yeah,
And she
yeah,
was like, oh, all these people told me to go. I was like, I would have told you not to pick that one. I would have told you to pick this one.
yeah.
And then I think we went to somebody else and we are like, what about this? And they were like, yeah, that's a really good one. I was like, you had such a good joke. I just wanted to get through that first round, but that's such a
Okay.
great, it's such a great show. It's such a great way to harness the power of the local comedy community as well.
Mhm.
What you've essentially done is created a comedy festival that lasts 95 to 115 minutes.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's awesome.
It's really fun. Thank you. I really enjoy it. And I mean, sometimes every once in a while somebody gets that they got eliminated and they get all huffy about it, or they think they won, or maybe they did win and there was a human error, which is why I book other people to be the judges and I just host. But most of the time, pretty much always, people are like, this felt like comedy prom. This was so fun. Everyone leaves after their set usually. And the form of this competition where we get a winner of each of the 4 brackets before going to the final 4 kind of forces you to stick around. And then, if people come in, maybe not knowing if it's the first time they've ever done it, being like, I don't know, is this cool? Is this dumb? Is this bad? And then they get really sucked into how fast moving and how competitive it is. And then they get invested. And so it's been really fun. It's been really fun to take it around the country. And it also like really uplifting in that like we haven't thrown a bad one. And I'm patting myself on the shoulder, but it's really a compliment to all of these comedy communities around the country. Like I took it to Albuquerque in February and I was like,
I was going to ask about because Albuquerque is a interesting comedy city.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that bring the spirit of late 80s comedy into Albuquerque with of the unfortunate levels of like the isms. They'll bring them in. They're like, hell yeah, man, let's do a sexism on stage or a racism. And you're just sitting there like, oh man.
Actually, it's weirdly felt that particular show because I had the best local producer helping me with it. And that's like the key is that you have
What
to
was
team
their
up
name?
with somebody you trust. Sarah Kennedy.
That's Sarah Kennedy.
Yeah, she's the best. Her and her wife, Kelly Trapnell, own Dry Heat Comedy Club there, and they're really good friends from New York. And I just trust them both so much. So when they say we're booking the comics, and they know who's gonna like what white guy is gonna pull out the N-word on stage, and they're not gonna book that guy. So I knew that not every joke is my favorite. And yeah, sometimes you get offensive jokes, but they tend to be you can tell the person's like, oh, I meant that. And
yeah, the
like,
nature and the context
yeah.
of the joke, I think, is important. Albuquerque is like a sister city to me in that, like, aside from Boston and LA, I think I've performed the most in Albuquerque.
Oh, that's fascinating.
There's several reasons. I had a friend that lived there. I've worked comic book conventions there. I spent a weekend at Netflix there. But beyond that, I was also like in love with someone there and was like figuring out the dating process of that. So I would make that 12-hour drive.
A lot.
A lot.
Did you drive straight or did you stop?
I mean, I'd stop to pee.
But oh gosh, Chris
No,
and I
I'm not stopping in like Flagstaff or something.
we stopped literally in
Yeah, that's
Flagstaff
the
on our
halfway
way
point.
out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, and it was so cold, and somebody was getting arrested outside our hotel, which I had booked in the car.
Preparing you for Albuquerque. Great.
Yeah. this, yeah, it was, yeah. Anyway, so then we get in there and the heat's broken in our hotel room, and it was very what it was. But our way back, we were like, we're not stopping. We're going just straight.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to stop. This is that because you're doing 6 hours to Flagstaff, 12 hours to Albuquerque, and Flagstaff is not worth saving 6 hours for.
Yeah.
Not when you can get to the majesty of Albuquerque and deal with all the wonderful glory. Like, I love the city of Albuquerque, but I also, my favorite donut I've ever had is in Albuquerque.
Oh, where is it? Say more.
It's at Rebel Donut.
Okay.
It's the French toast donut. It is an old fashioned raised donut, but soft. It's a raised, so soft raised in a square, right? So it's a square, and it is dipped in cinnamon sugar. And then they put a pat, like a little scoopy pat of buttercream frosting on top to simulate butter. And then they drizzle like a maple frosting on it, like syrup. And Emily,
why did I ask? I've been on Weight Watchers since July. What am I doing to myself? This is torture. I ate beans for breakfast. Oh my God. Okay.
I cannot stress how amazing that donut is.
Rebel Donuts, people.
Rebel Donut in Albuquerque.
Shout
And
out to our sponsor, Rebel Donuts.
I never normally, if they're not performers, I don't shout their names out, but an amazing fan in Albuquerque who knew I was there volunteered to bring me to my hotel some Rebel Donut French toast donuts because he's heard me talk about them. And then he actually took me downtown to like kind of like shop around, and we hung out for a little while, and I took him to lunch.
That's so nice. Oh my
And
God.
it was really cool. And like I said, when it's other performers and people in the public eye, I always say their names, but if I don't have express written permission, I don't like to put people on blast for whatever, but he knows how much I appreciate him.
I really liked Albuquerque. I was really impressed with the comedians. Honestly, a lot of them were tighter than the LA comics, which the LA was good. I thought that was a good show, but
there were some liberties taken in LA.
Yeah, there's
with
always
what a one-liner is.
Yeah, I mean, I let people go up to 3 sentences for setup punchline, and our referee had the whistle in her mouth like so many times, ready to blow people. But then there's also people. It's a hard to get to venue in Hollywood where there's no parking, so I'm trying to cut people off, but also give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because they came all the way out to compete.
Yeah, you should have like yellow cards. Like you should card somebody.
Yeah, like wrap it up.
Like a ref. Yeah, like oh, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool and fun thing. And I know like obviously plugs we do at the end of the show too, but like where else are you going with this show?
So next month in June, at the end of June, I'm going to Pittsburgh, and we're going to be, I don't have the ticket link up yet. That is a project for this week, but it's going to be at Spirit, which is in Lawrenceville, which is sort of the hip neighborhood in Pittsburgh. And I have a producer that I've never worked with before, but I've known for a long time, and he used to come in our house and walk our dog in Brooklyn, and also he's very funny and I like him very much, so I'm hoping that this will work out. His name is Ronnie Fleming. He's great.
Shout out to Ronnie Fleming. Is Danny Palumbo going to be on that? Is he going to be in Pittsburgh at the time?
Is he like a half Pittsburgh, half LA guy?
Well, I think he goes home there for the summer maybe to like spend time with his family, but I think he might be driving across the country, so I don't know how long.
I'm writing this down.
I don't know if and when he'll be there, but the guest of the show and current cool friend Danny Palumbo, also just
fellow softball player,
amazing softball player.
Yes,
who gets very frustrated with me that I'm bad at catching shin high rockets being thrown from shortstop to first base, and I always feel like the worst player when I try to field those shots because I can't get them. They come so low, and it like I can't get my glove in the right.
Tell him to get his throws up a little bit. If he's so good, get your throws up. Waste time.
That is fair, but I'm not. If I miss an easy catch, I don't blame the person who threw it either. Like, I get it. I think I'm slightly above average of a player, and that's enough for me. I
think you're pretty good, Jeff.
I'm not a finesse player, that's for sure.
None of us are. Do you think?
Some are.
Maybe 1 or 2 shortstops, but we're all a bunch of bumbling comedians on the softball field, and it's lovely.
It's also great to see how that league has sort of sprouted and grown.
I love how many women are playing now. There's so many women. It's great.
Yeah, we had Elise Golgowski, who, if you're a patron that's listening to this, you will hear her on Nerd when it drops tomorrow, but lots of really great talents and people that I've booked on shows, like I booked you and your husband, Chris Calogero. I booked you because I met you here and was like, send me video. Let me see you perform. Like, I want to see you on the show. And the last one, Camille Theobald, we just had on, who was the champion of one of the New York One-Liner Mad Night.
Yeah, she was on I think that was the second ever One-Liner Madness that she won, and she knocked it out of the park. She's great at set up punchlines.
Yeah, it was great, and I really enjoy that. So shout out to Jono as well as Alex Stone for.
And Jono Zalay, who you said earlier was on this podcast, he was in the top 4. He was in the final 4 of One Liner Madness that just happened in LA. And One Liner Madness LA was really good.
It was really good. He tanked his own joke.
I do.
Because because Andrew Arolfo did a little thing where he says, I look like the Shenyun billboard. And it was a very funny joke. And then Jono, before he even said his joke, just went, congratulations on your win, Andrew. And I was like, the competitive spirit in me like exploded. And I was like, you congratulate him after he wins.
And then he did win it all. He did. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Andrew did great. So one of the things, Emily, and I don't know if you know this, but you might because I mentioned it earlier today, is that if you head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May, which many of you are listening to first because you got this a week early, uncensored with bonus content. I also have a tier where you can literally produce this show. How exciting is that? You can be one of the producers, and it is what we call a premium tier. It's a very good tier. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeff May, one word, JEFFMAY, for access to that. So I want to shout out the following people here. And Emily, we can get a lot of these are prompts sometimes. We get a prompt from people. But so shout out to the wandering unpierced left nipple. Okay. Shout out to Eat and Die Grand Canyon. You been? Did you stop at the Grand Canyon on your way through?
We did. And actually, I just last week put up my own podcast, Comedians with Ghost Stories, which is exactly what it sounds like.
How'd you come up with the name?
It is crazy. I just like randomly picked it. But yeah, this woman, the comedian that was on, was talking about how she went to the Grand Canyon, saw a ghost, and hated the Grand Canyon and was not impressed by its majesty. So yes, for me personally, I just wanted my dog at the time to appreciate it. And she was like, no, I don't care. There's a squirrel.
So the Grand Canyon's a hole in the ground.
Yes.
And from what I understand, it looks like the photos. Is that fair?
Okay, seeing it at sunset, there's a big hole in the ground, there's this purple sky, there's something to it. It's nice. I mean, I wish I had been on mushrooms or something, but yeah, it's nice.
Maybe I got to do mushrooms. Maybe I got to find a way to reconnect to that. Like growing up on a farm, nature has always been work.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not impressed by nature because I grew up in it. And I'm not like a Navi where I'm like, it's all a part of us. I'm just like, we got to pick rocks out of the garden again. Great.
That's actually the best excuse for not liking nature that I've ever heard.
Oh, just that it's just a chore.
Yeah, when you see it, it looks like work to you. Yeah.
I like camping.
Ugh.
See, like that, but that's more just like because building like I can do in nature. Like the Grand Canyon doesn't feel like you're doing anything. I don't know.
Yeah, you're taking pictures.
Maybe I'm just an ass.
No, I get it. I think it's like you're supposed to go to these places, but then what do you do when you get there? And I wish that like I could have gone to the bottom and like done, some kind of walk around it or, something. Yeah.
Do you have like a dream city to get to in the continental United States?
I have never been to the Pacific Northwest. I need to go to Portland. I need to go to Seattle. I need
same.
Yeah.
You should do a one-liner madness in Portland.
I would love to. I need, if anybody knows a good Portland producer, somebody who's kind and really jacked into the comedy community there, let me know. Because I am going to cities where I have people that I trust. And that is kind of how I do it. But I need to get there. So I'm going to Pittsburgh in June. I may be doing Madison. I'm waiting because I'm spending the summer in the Midwest. I may be doing Madison in August, but if I don't do Madison, I'm going to work on Milwaukee with a guy that I met here who used to run the festival in Milwaukee.
Is Madison dead in the summer?
In a great way, yes.
Because we performed in Madison like a week after the schools closed.
Yes. Yes.
And it was the deadest because we did an unpopular opinion show and those usually sell really well.
Uh-huh.
And we sold, I think, maybe like 17 tickets.
Oh my God. Did you
Because
do
like
it at the club?
no, we did solo. We very rarely would go through clubs.
Uh,
Like you go through all this trouble building up your own independent shit only to give most of your money to a
to a
club.
club. No, I totally agree. I just that particular club is so good. But there's a festival in Madison, which is why I feel comfortable taking it to Madison in the summer because it would be for the Madison Comedy Festival. But I'm spending an entire month with my husband. We got a tiny apartment on a lake with a pier and kayaks, and the whole point of it is I wanted to do it when the students aren't there because now I'm old
Yes.
and I don't want to compete with 21-year-olds for seats at a bar.
Yeah, the energy of that is
Yeah. And I went to college there and I love it so much. And it's like my favorite place in the world. And I dream about it once a
you a
week.
badger?
Yeah, I'm a Badger. So I can't wait, but I definitely wanted to do the summer.
There are spots in the USA that, and you're right, like that's one of them, the going to Portland. That's
Yes.
one that I'm like, yeah, I gotta get out there. And I get a lot of messages like, you need to get up to the Pacific Northwest. And I'm like, I'll get there. But
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well,
I should. I have the money.
just go. I was gonna say that, but then I was like, is that rude if I'm just like, you got the money, go?
Do you know how many times I have to tell myself, dude, you have the money. Like you have it. Like just go.
Living this lifestyle and then you were a teacher before this, like we're just not used to having that. Like it's scary. I mean, I would want it, but it's like you're paralyzed by choice because you can't do infinite things. And it just, but but you can do things you've never done before. So it's like ranking them in your heart. What matters? Just go to Portland. Just go.
Yeah, I should get up there. All right. Anyway, all right. Shout out to who wins in the what if crossover we truly deserve. Doo-doo suit Bruce versus doo-doo suit Logan. That is a very specific Tom and Jeff watch Batman meets 90s Wolverine reference here. So shout out to that one. Shout out to the ghost of Dave Thomas. Shout out to I haven't had carbs or sugar in a couple weeks and I fantasize about deli sandwiches now.
Oh yeah, baby.
So you said you've been doing Weight Watchers recently?
I've been doing Weight Watchers since July and it is now May. Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah. So I worked like a lot in the beginning and now I am maintaining and maybe I lose like 0.2 pounds a week. And I think that's maybe my body saying, this is probably the right spot for you. But I've lost almost 35 pounds.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So, and my husband is struggling. And so, like, he's lost like 20 something. But like the first time when we did this back in 2018 before the pandemic, I wasn't even on that Weight Watchers app and I was losing, but he lost like a ton of weight and he's like stuck at this one place and he works out way more than me. And
that's why he's plateauing, by the way.
Right? Because it's muscle.
Yeah. That's exactly why. So I'll talk to him. Send him to me. I'll talk to him because that's actually a problem that people have and they get very frustrated because they're adding dense muscle mass, which is going to burn that fat. But by looking at weight, it's actually it's not a good metric for health.
Okay.
Or even, and ironically, it's not even a good metric for weight loss because your body composition isn't judged by a dial or a digital readout. It just can't be.
Like,
if you look
after I drink, like if I have a bunch of tequila sodas and I put them in my little point counter or whatever, the next day I'm so skinny because I'm dehydrated. I'm so dehydrated. But I love weighing myself the next day.
I am considered, if you look at BMI, I'm considered overweight.
Okay.
And it's like not by a little. And it's like, well, they don't take into consideration the muscle mass and like my bone density, for God's sakes. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, but that is, shout out to this person for not having carbs or sugar in a couple weeks. My suggestion to you, if you are looking for that, is allow yourself a cheat where you give yourself a little carb or a little sugar every once in a while, because if you break cold turkey, you will binge. That happens every time. Cold turkey, make sure you wean yourself. But I hope things are going well.
Cold turkey is exactly what this person is dreaming about. Cold turkey on a fat bun. You gotta get it. Built in, and honestly, this is in my trivia book. Built-in cheat days make any kind of, whether it's diet or exercise or whatever you're working on, I do it with my writing. I try to write 20 minutes in the morning, but I only make myself do that 5 days a week. You have to have built-in cheat days. Otherwise, you will lose your mind and inevitably at some point disappoint yourself.
I'm that way with soda. I have an allotment for soda, and that is at the movies.
That's perfect.
Like only at the movies can I have soda, but I go to the movies enough that I don't feel like I'm like, I haven't had soda in 2 months. It's just like, oh, I had soda 2 weeks ago and it was great. And now I'm back to drinking water because I drink so much water. I pee so much. I drink water out of an old Mac Tonight glass.
Oh, I love that glass. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I never could. All right. Shout out to Hi, your friendly neighborhood mortician here to encourage folks who choose cremation to have a game plan afterwards, scatter or bury, because it sure is awkward finding random cremated remains in a broom closet.
Oh my gosh, I love that one.
That is, shout out to her. She's very helpful and has actually inspired several people to do these things. So
amazing.
She's
that you're making
incredible.
me be like, I should ask my parents. The only thing I know about my parents when they die is my mom, whose name is Jan and has always been called Jan, when she dies, has requested to be called Bunny, only referred to as Bunny.
That's gonna be hard.
Oh no, it's so funny. I'm like, I'm already there. I'm like, I'm ready, but I don't want her to die, but I do want to call her Bunny.
You're like, can we start calling you Bunny now?
Can we start? Yeah.
You should just start doing it. That way it won't be weird that you all of a sudden have to like
call her Bunny.
Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White her ass, where it's like, oh, you're a different character now.
But I think it's so smart because when she does die, obviously my sister and I will be incredibly sad and it will cause us to stop and think and call her Bunny and then laugh. And it is going to bring a lot of joy to a very hard time.
That's fair. Yeah. That is fair. That's nice. We like it.
We like that.
All right. Shout out to, this is perfect, the Tubi Terror Bunny thinks you should watch more Rutger Hauer films, which...
Mom? sorry.
Mom, are you on Tubi? No, Tubi. No, it's like TV with commercials, but it's on the internet. No, none of the shows are as good. Thank God we cut the cord. Shout out to Mr. Billy Beck. Shout out to Dr. DNA. Shout out to, I know Jeff doesn't even like sports, but James from Michigan got a hole-in-one. Congratulations, James from Michigan. Also, update that name if you want. Shout out to Bart Fartigan, Dan Adamski, world's humblest man. Shout out to Norm from Cheers. Shout out to Dan Hackroyd. Shout out to Mind Freak 555. Shout out to Andrew House Nemesis McGuire. And shout out to check out this month's Nerd with Dre and Jeff. We've got the Pokemon, the trading card game episode dropping tomorrow if you are listening, if you're listening on the Patreon, and last Wednesday if you are a freeloader. So check that out. It's a lot of fun. We have Elise Golgowski on. It is cool as hell. I learned a lot about that game because I didn't know much about it at all. And then shout out to watch me use these prehensile nipples to pick up pennies off the floor.
Whoa.
That's the last one.
Okay.
That's the last one. Is that we started and ended
with nipples.
Very nipple. It's a very nipple heavy producer.
Boy,
it's like 10% nipples here.
Everybody should meet my new dog. She's like 80% nipples.
Yeah, Pickles. You have a beautiful pit that you rescued named Pickles, and Pickles has like,
she's had babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hungry babies.
Hungry babies. Her nipples just like fall all over her.
I felt uncomfortable rubbing her tummy.
It's okay. She's really, I think
it's not about her.
It's not about her. Well, it is though. But
I felt uncomfortable rubbing her tummy.
Oh, okay. You just, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, Jeff.
Yeah. Here's something fun though. If the Weight Watchers thing is something you're doing, and I'm guessing that you are very active, you've been certainly getting your steps up.
Yes.
Because you are a member of the WGA, the Writers Guild Union, and you have been quite busy, as have all of the writers, but not for what they're used to being busy for. So obviously, with the strike happening, I wanted to get somebody in the WGA, and I just happened to know somebody who's incredibly cool and active, and desperately wanted you on here to sort of explain to me, because I'm very stupid, but also my listeners who are smart but don't usually live here or have a connection to this. Like, what's the deal with the strike? Like, why
Yeah.
is there a strike?
Well,
Why?
so
What's the
if
deal?
I weren't in the WGA, I would maybe know that it was happening and then not really know all the details. So, yeah, I mean, I know the details because it's my livelihood. There's some technology stuff going on. And then also, we've gotten so much support. And I wasn't a professional writer back in 2007 for the last strike. But what I've heard is that there was much less support from other industries related to unrelated last time, and we're getting a lot of support. And I think that from directors, from actors, but even when I'm on the picket line, from truck drivers coming through. And I think like a lot of it is sort of, we are a microcosm of what's happening in the country as far as the disappearing middle class. So there's that aspect of it that I am incredibly invested in.
I will add that you are a writer for the show on Nickelodeon, That Girl Lele.
Yes. Yeah. It's a Nickelodeon show that's also on Netflix. Now, to some of our complaint points from the union, I see 0 cents from Netflix, even though our show is on Netflix. I'm happy that it's because it's a Nickelodeon show. A lot of adults don't know it. So, it's cool that it's on Netflix. Sometimes, a person's like, oh, I got really high and watched your show last night, even though it's, for kids. And I'm like, great, that's what I want.
That's actually my target demographic. So.
Supposed to be for kids, but yeah, when you get high, it's wonderful for adults. But anyway, the big thing here is AI. So basically, what the union is really trying to protect is our jobs, because writers' rooms 15 years ago had 20 writers in them. These days, they have more like 8 to 10. What the studios are trying to do is eliminate our jobs and have TV written by AI and have 1 or 2 writers take the AI and punch it up and make it more normal. Now, if you're like, this is actually probably, if you're siding with the studios on this, I could see you saying, like, if AI can do it cheaper, if AI can do it better. Yes, they can definitely do it cheaper, but they absolutely can't do it better, because part of our job, and this is one of my favorite parts of the job, is to be on set while we're filming the shows and filming the episodes and say, that joke doesn't work. And then the writer's job is to just rattle off as many alternative punchlines as they can until somebody higher up laughs, and then we try that one, and if that doesn't work, we try another one, and that's how you get the best TV, all this collaboration. There's also the question of, who does the intellectual property that the AI is coming up with belong to? So like, they're coming up with stories, but those stories were originally, they're pieces of stories that were originated by human beings. So I don't legally know if we have a leg to stand on that point, but I do know that the quality of television goes down when you have it written by computers. Yeah. So that is
weird, right?
That's that. So also, I have worked my entire adult life to become a member of the WGA, and there's the ladder of how far you go up, and it starts with staff writer is the first WGA job, and then next is story editor, and that's where I am. And also, this is not something that we're going to get in these negotiations, but I have a writing partner, and so when you have a writing partner, you share a salary with them. You just split it down the middle. So I am living a half person's salary already, and then we haven't had pay increases for inflation. Then they're going to try to take away our jobs. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because they're really trying to frame it like you guys are getting greedy, and you see it. I see it come down, and it tends to be more from like right-wing pundits or people that don't believe that they think organized labor is mafia tactics and stuff like that. I see that a lot, where like people are like, oh, these rich liberal writers are complaining that they're not rich enough. And it's like, dude, you can't buy a house on one episode of Cheers.
No,
like you used to
well,
be able
maybe
to.
one day you might have been able to with all the residuals and stuff at some point. But
the other thing about that too is people don't watch reruns on cable. Right. They watch a show like streaming, for example, for writing, like The Office. This is The Office. I think that is the most streamed show on TV,
it's
right?
something,
Like that's
yeah. That
it's just like on. Like, how many people do you know that are just like, I just run The Office in the background all the time?
Yes.
So like, if that amount of views was getting done through reruns, you would be a trillionaire.
Yes. I mean, not a millionaire, but you would have a big old house, and you would not have to have just purchased a $4,000 used 2010 Civic. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not the case with streaming. And so like, I know the AI, obviously you want to protect that future, but protecting the present, where you're not getting streaming residuals, or like they don't report those numbers.
Yeah.
Like that's all part of it too. Cause I'm a little bit confused as to like some of that aspect of it. Like,
right. So Netflix doesn't report their numbers. They never have. And they've never gone public with how many viewers they have. And so it's kind of hard for the union to figure out exactly what to ask for. However, if the WGA, the Writers Guild, got, what they're asking for now is just 2% of streaming revenue for writers. And that would solve almost all of our problems except for the future of AI, and they won't give us anything. So it's just like, it's really hard to find writing jobs. And so if you're like, oh my gosh, you make a lot of money per week, yeah, that's true for a lot of writers, but then you have to take, they might have a year in between jobs, and that's not because they're bad writers, it's because that's how long it takes to find your next job. So that money is really spread out over a long period of time. And so the residuals that used to be just part of what we get are gone now. And so
it's a lot different when you have more than just 4 networks.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the best I think I'm going to explain it. I don't know.
No, that it's really interesting, and it's funny because when the picketing started, I didn't think, because I'm no longer a member of a union. I was a member of the teachers union, but I'm no longer. I thought that there was like a stolen valor energy to marching and walking with people. And then I recently was told, no, just go. But I felt uncomfortable going and like marching with people if I'm not a member of the Writers Guild. I'm not even, I mean, technically, I guess I'm a writer, but I'm not a professional writer, and that's not a goal for me. But since somebody told me that, I've also been so busy that I haven't been able to.
Well, any day
march,
that
but I really do want to. And I've been blowing my wrist out every time I drive by one of these things, just beeping my little life off.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's so funny with the beeping because everybody that I'm walking with is like, yay! But don't you get a little scared every time someone does it? And we're like, yeah. But it's great. It's great. But yeah, anytime that you want to come, I absolutely agree. And I think that anybody that's listening in a place where there is a strike, I know obviously they're happening every day in LA and New York, but then occasionally somebody will organize something. I think this woman I know just went out in Philly and did it somewhere. But yeah, if you have the opportunity to go support, it's not like no one's going to say, oh, you can't come in here, you're not in the union. I think that everyone is just really happy that other people support what we're trying to do.
When I was an Uber driver, tourists used to ask me all the time. They would want to see a celebrity. They're like, where do we go to see a celebrity?
Yeah.
And my easy suggestion, I would give them 2 suggestions. I would say, well, the Grove, you'll probably see somebody shopping there that you saw on like a reality show or something. It's like the Grove, a comedy club. You can see somebody famous on stage. Now, let's go to these picket lines.
Go to a picket line to see celebrities. Oh my gosh. And you can look up the locations online.
It's funny. I was running errands and crossing the street near a picket, and I was talking to this woman, and I realized like maybe 8 seconds into the conversation that it was Rachel Bloom. And I was just like, oh, we've done shows together at the West Side Theater. And she's like, oh my God, yeah. Are you going to march with us? And I was like, shit.
Wait, that was on the first day?
It was on one of the first days, yeah.
Okay, because I saw her on the first day. We all went to the same bar after.
It was on Ventura. That's
where I saw her. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, no, I've seen so many celebrities, and it's so funny. I don't know if you get this, but I dated for a long time, obviously, before I married my husband. And so every time I see a guy celebrity that's like around my age, I'm always like, my first thought is like, who dumb too? Like, because I look at him, I'm like, oh God, you're familiar. And I'm like, did I sleep with you? Did I, did I hit on you in a creepy way? Or like, I'm always like, oh, and then I'm like, no, that's the guy from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I do that like all the time.
I mean, why not? Like, honestly, we have that situation. Like, there's sometimes you see somebody and you're like, how do I know you?
It's really hard to live in LA because there's so many like minor celebrities, or you're just like, oh, that guy. But my brain always goes to like, how did this end for us? Like, I gotta get over that.
Yeah, probably. I really feel like you're inserting yourself into a lot of stories.
Yeah, but I think it's just here in LA, I don't know why it's still going on, but in New York, I just like dated for so many years that I was like, I just like would be, I don't know, I would be like, I would see somebody that I went on a date with and be like, oh God, I gotta hide behind this pole, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I still have that trauma inside of me, I guess.
I very rare, like almost everyone I dated it was either like one date or 2.5 years. Like it's like not a lot of middle ground.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not, I've had some interesting dating stories where like I'm cool with them now, but like at one time, like I dated the only time I had ever like given in and like was dating an Uber passenger because I was like, look, I don't have this job to get ass. I need to pay my bills. But there was, and finally, I'd always say no if, somebody made an offer. And then finally, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, let's hang out. We hung out and I was dating this girl for like a little while until I found out that she was like engaged at the
What?
time. And her fiance found out and like wanted to kill me.
Were you like just friends or was there like more going on?
There was way more going on.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
And then the only way I found out is that another friend's wife worked with the fiance and heard my name at work and like poked her head in like, what was that? He's like, this guy. And I was like, should I be nervous? And she's like, you would kill him in 3 seconds.
Oh my God, that's
Don't
so
worry about it. But at the same, and then I was like, this is why I say no to Uber.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like a story that a girl would have about a guy.
Yeah, no, she was straight up engaged. It was very interesting. And I kind of told her, I was like, please don't contact me again. Like
And what'd she say?
she I don't even think she responded. She just was
Yeah.
like
She was just like,
just
cut.
ghosted. And like now she's married and like got her shit together and like happy and like we can be friendly now and we are. But like then I was like, absolutely not. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah. I don't necessarily hold grudges, but I'm do like, hey, if I could get murdered because of this, it's an issue.
Don't want to. Yeah, but I don't really feel like I hold grudges against anyone that I dated, but they're just like I have had so many weird stories because like women have weird stories.
Sure,
Straight women have
men are
weird.
weird.
Yeah, and straight men typically have like she wasn't as pretty as her picture, you know. And I'm like, oh boo hoo, I got given a switchblade on a first date. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Hey,
just
that's fun.
yeah. It was. He said I was too pretty not to have one, and I thought it was the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
That's a very 1952 gift to give. A pretty dame like yourself shouldn't be walking around without a switchblade here.
Chris and I still have the switchblade.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great.
That's cool as hell.
Then I married that guy.
Yeah, it was Chris. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've had just weird dating experience. Like I went on a first date with this girl that we had like this really interesting meet cute where like we met on an airplane, and we were like next to each other at the bar, but didn't talk. And then she chose to sit next to me on the air. It was like this very cool meet cute thing. And I never assume someone wants to date me. That's just the chubby kid from school forever. That's in there. So like finally we were like messaging on Facebook and she finally was like, are you going to ask me out or are you just going to keep dancing around it? And I was like, oh, and we went on a date, but the first date we went on, I did a yes date is what I called it, where I said, I'll tell you what, I was like, we walked around Venice Boardwalk and I was like, if anybody asks us to do something, I'm just going to say yes. And then we'll see how the day goes, which they ended up turning into like a movie called Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Like they didn't steal it from me. But yeah. So like,
who knows? Maybe he was right behind you listening.
So we walked and I ended up getting my palm read.
Nice.
And the lady that was reading my palm, which is a scam. Palm reading it's an absolute scam. It's fun. It's a fun little scam, but Marvel's not real either. And I see those. So she was like reading and she's like, oh, you're not over your ex. Who's like my ex-wife. And I was like, you got to trust me on this one. I very much am. And she's like torpedoing this date. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, ma'am, I'm paying you $30 to scam me.
Right.
You don't also have to, you're trying to do a side hustle in your scam where you're going to like torpedo my date while I'm paying you for a lie.
So did the date think it was real? Did she take it really seriously?
No. But she is in a long and committed relationship with a what? woman. So would the
Okay.
date have gone very like how long would it have gone? I recognize that sexuality is a full-on spectrum, but I can't imagine that, as you had stated previously, like the amount of masculine aggression that I bring, like the masculine energy that I bring, then to end up with soft feminine love. Like I really feel like these are not, I understand like you can like other certain things, but I'm like, there is no way that me and this other person have anything in common. I was like, that's going to be a tough one to pull off. You're like, oh,
Is it Jeff or
I
is
could
it
see
Leslie
it.
who knits and
Yeah.
makes sure her comforter's always clean? Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, well, I can't possibly see now how that ever could have worked. If like she's into somebody like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, there's no way that you're so into these two totally opposite things.
That's
But
so
maybe,
funny.
I mean,
Maybe.
I mean, like, I'm genuinely, the thing is with exes, there aren't any exes I wish anything negative towards. I'm always like, man, I hope I wasn't so terrible to wreck shit for you. Like, that's
Yeah.
how I view it. I'm like, you were right. Like, every breakup I've been through, it's almost always been like, yeah, you were right.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is the ex-boyfriend all the girls want.
I mean,
Not the boyfriend all the girls want, but the ex-boyfriend.
I haven't been the best ex-boyfriend. And actually, as a matter of fact, we can talk about that in the Patreon bonus content, because right now we have to work our way out of finishing and wrapping up this
Great.
this thing. So, Emily Winter, first and foremost, everybody, you should definitely, absolutely check out the book One Day Smarter. You can absolutely get it. You can head on over to emilywintercomedy.com where to get that information. If you guys want to watch the episode, the show, excuse me, the Nickelodeon show, That Girl Lele, put some eyes on Emily's project. And definitely, if One Liner Madness is coming to your city, such as Pittsburgh or Portland in the future, you definitely got to go to that because it is so much fun. Emily, what else have I missed?
Oh, thank you so much. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Haven't been as active on Twitter since, Elon took over. But I just don't feel like it. It's at Emily MC Winter. My middle name's McKenna. It's a dumb handle. It's Emily McWinter on both of those platforms. And I had something else I thought. I don't know.
You do have things.
Oh, I have things. Yes, I have a podcast
show.
of my own. Yeah, I'll talk about that too. My podcast is called Comedians with Ghost Stories. I put up a new ghost story from a comedian every week. They are true stories that happened. I believe in ghosts. I believe in all the stuff. I am not. Anyway, I don't have many ghost stories of my own, but I love hearing them. So that's on Wednesdays. And then I run a show with my husband, Chris Calogero, called Staff Picks at Be Kind Video in Burbank on Magnolia. It's very close to Jeff's show here.
It is literally the day before Mint on Card every month. Yes. And it's a quarter mile away.
Yeah, it's down the street. And that's it. And One Liner Madness, I'll be Instagramming and tweeting and putting it on my website when I have more dates in more cities.
And on top of that, make sure you voice your support for the WGA if you are listening to this while the strike is still happening. And if you are not, apologies to our AI overlords who have clearly destroyed the planet and are willing to eliminate human beings as a race entirely. So shout outs to that. But yes, definitely support the strike. You got to wait a little bit longer to get Stranger Things. Good. Who cares? It's a TV show.
A lot of shows are like the episodes are written, but they won't act in them. They won't direct them. They won't. It's great. I mean, it sucks for the future of the next few months of television for all of us, but in the long run, I am very just grateful.
It's a good reminder. I think a lot of people, when people are complaining, it's like, hey, what'd you do during the pandemic? I bet you watched a lot of TV, huh? I bet you sure did. Like most people during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, that stuff didn't appear out of nowhere. Right. Support the people that actually created and made that stuff, not the proprietors of the technology that's allowing you to watch it. They already get that money.
Right.
What about the people that actually did that? Emily Winter, thank you so much. For those of you that are patrons, stick around. But if you want to hear more from me, of course, you can check out Nerd, which is going to drop tomorrow if you're listening on the Patreon. And if you're listening for free, thank you so much. I appreciate you. But I would love for you to head over to patreon.com/Jeff May. We can get early access to uncensored episodes with bonus content, as well as access to shows like Ugh Fine with Kim Crawl, Nerd with Dre Alvarez, which you can get for free as well. And as well as you get the blank rookie card tier where you can watch me do I Must Break You. And then the cards that I open out of those packs, you can get in the mail. And if you don't get them, then I give them to Emily.
Because they are White Sox cards.
I gave you, it was a Mark Burley jersey card, right? So they took one of his jerseys, they cut it up, they put it on a card, and then you got it.
And now it's prominently displayed in our baseball themed bathroom. So
hey, I gave Chris, who was it that I gave him a piece?
Some Yankees guy, probably.
Yeah, I think it was Giambi. I gave him Giambi thing. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good All-Stars. But yeah, anyway, you can check that out. You can also hear Tom and Jeff watch Batman on the Game Fleet Unemployed Network. You can also hear me on Unpopular Opinion and You Don't Even Like Sports, a sports podcast for people who don't like sports on the Unpops Network, as well as You Don't Even Like Sports Cards, the show where Adam, Todd Brown, and I open the packs of sports cards on camera. So that being said, that's a lot of that I do. Some would say too much. We'll see you in 2 weeks, unless you are on the Patreon. We'll see you in about 5 seconds. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababan, and boy, does that shred. Thank you all so much for listening. See you next time.